What's going on, everybody? I am super excited to be able to get to talk to a guy who has really had a background that, if you listen to this show, you know my background. I started as a theater student and migrated over to the film side of things. And that is what my guest is doing as well. He has a theater background, and now he is progressively transitioning into working on film. So please help me welcome Joshua Christian Azali to the show. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show, Jimmy.
So like I said, when we talked on the phone, you predominantly come from a theater background, correct?
Yes, I came from Stella Adler Academy of Hollywood. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, that name rings a bell.
It's a wonderful school. I love her technique. She was the one of the umbrella techniques of Stanislavski. So it came from Stella Adler, Meissner, and Strasberg. So
And, and so with that, for me, theater, it was always about the just that, to call it a high, I guess, but the high of performing in front of people, transitioning into a film where you're working or acting on film, you're performing in front of the cast and crew, but there is no live audience reaction, minus like a TV, sitcom type thing. I mean, WandaVision just did it, for nostalgia's sake, but it seems like you get away from that for the most part as a film actor. So, what was it that kind of sparked the idea for you, or was it always the end game to get into film?
So, coming from a theater background, the stakes are much higher. You have this one time, one performance ordeal, many rehearsals behind it, and it just has to be the best, or closely the best,
For
for
sure.
the audience to portray the character on stage. And for film, it's something you could have many takes behind it, and there's never really much of. It's much more lax than the theater part of it. And I just thought, if I come from a theater background, I'd love to try going on to film and seeing how I par with that. And that's why I've just been trying to be actively doing it ever since.
What was it that got you into theater in the first place? Because my parents always tell me the stories. I don't even remember at this point, but they always say, like, ever since you were a kid, you loved to make people, laugh, center of attention, and then as soon as the talent show stuff started, you were up on that stage. Like, what was it? When was it for you that got you to want to perform on stage?
So essentially, I was intrigued by it during my high school years. Well,
Okay.
in that aspect, I was in the marching band perhaps, and the performance behind that was something, was an adrenaline rush behind it. But I didn't pursue anything behind it after my high school years, and I just thought, wow, that was great, that was good. But I feel like I should follow what my parents want me to do. They want me to do medical field. I went into kinesiology, got a degree, and I just said, wow, I think I could actually do this 9 to 5 job and just helping people. It's something I love to do. And
Hmm.
I went through the schooling behind it. I saw these people in my classes. They had this hysteria that, wow, I love biomechanics. I love the human body. And, I just love it so much. I'm like, I don't think I have that same taste. And I just thought, I got to finish this at least, but I don't think I'm very passionate about this. And what kind of medium could I have behind that I could still help people but be passionate for? And it had
Yeah.
to be anything. It had to be theater. It has to be something performance wise. So immediately after I got my degree, I signed up for this the schooling, Stella Adler, what have you, and go through the process, name, place. I had headshots I took at the time, and
Sure.
there's one tab. It said recommendation letter. No recommendation letter whatsoever. Where am I going to get this from? I don't know. So I took a document. I wrote it on a blank document. Okay? I don't have a recommendation letter, and I sent that. I sent it to the school. And get this, the, the not even 24 hours later, they call me up saying, "Hey, you want to come in for an interview? We would like to get to know you better." It's so funny in that aspect that I don't know if it was the sheer audacity or the brazen.
Right. Right. Right.
really, that really got me into it. But I've been loving it ever since, and I I don't want to stop. I want to get into theater or film. It's something I'm passionate for.
Right on. So you're not so much trying to leave one behind, you're just trying to incorporate both.
Yes, yes, but my heart will always be in theater. I love theater so much.
It's interesting to hear you talk about marching band too, because my, 9 to 5 to pay the bills. I work with high school resource students, and I have a few of my kids who are in band and then have gone to theater, and to see the because it's like you don't really know until you've done it too, like fully. And so to see kind of the interest in theater come alive through band, and then hearing you tell that story, that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It's just the idea that this one time you get one time to do really good, and that
Yeah,
was how my roots came from. And I just thought, wow, that the how much stakes it is that you gotta. I just love chasing that the connection between the audience and actors, that beauty behind it. That this is the character, and this is what I'm proud of my work. After so many rehearsals behind it, amazing stuff.
I think theater actors may be able to harness that energy better too, that one take energy, because that's a great uh, kind of mindset to have on a film, like to know like you got it down, like if we only have one take, I can still go out in front of the camera and nail it, because I mean the producers are going to love you in that case. um, the only danger, I could see people like trying to like stress themselves out about it or whatever, but I gotta get it right. But the theater thing into film, to have that mentality of the preparation and everything, that I'm sure it has to help you somewhat.
It does, of course. It's the my work is very serious. I You have to know the circumstances behind the character, how they get up in the morning, what do they eat, what would they wear, how would they have the attitude towards a pencil or a pen, how would they open a door. It's there's deeper stuff behind that. And as a theater student, as you understand yourself, right? It's what is the subtext behind what they're saying, and that's how you build the character. And it's the beauty behind it. It's not easy as people always think. There's a lot of work behind it. We I can relate with you because I didn't know that you come from theater, which is amazing to be talking to.
Yeah,
And it's a lot of hardships behind it. We
for
just
sure.
make it look easy on stage, really. Yeah.
Yeah. The So your transition, you go and you get your interview to get into the school. What, having not really done a whole lot of it prior to then, like how was that process for you in getting like properly introduced in a very formal setting to theater acting?
It was quite nerve wracking, if I could say myself. I built my confidence so much more over the years. The last time, I was still in schooling for college, and I haven't touched any performing arts than marching band that during that time being. So it was like a hiatus, what have you. But I was still great at interviewing. I was still open up to ideas, and I just thought you just gotta try. That's why I still have that mentality behind me that you just have to try. You won't know if you won't try. And
Mhm.
I really, every time I had a scene to be doing it and they said, "Oh, who wants to go first?" I always went first. I don't care. I was there to actually learn. How
Yeah,
do you act? How do you be performance? And I it's been improving all since the last 4 years I've been there. Yeah.
right on. So do you have a favorite uh, acting style? Do you like the more dramatic or comedic, or what do you dig portraying?
So I like dramatic, of course. Dramatic is probably the hardest one to do. That's why I love it. I love comedy. It's fun. It's great to relate with the audience with. But dramatic is somewhere interpreted that can you get the audience to relate in that specific sense, where in comedy, oh, it's just easy to laugh at. Wow, this is supposed to be funny, and that's why.
Right.
So I have an order sort of there's in theater there isn't really an action sort of thing, but if I were to film drama, action, comedy, then romance. Well, it's kind of It's a little iffy for me to still, but I still need to build that strength for me. I'm still open to it, of course.
Yeah, the romantic thing. My wife, every day after Halloween, if not before, through Christmas, it's like the Lifetime Channel movie binge, and she's getting mad at me because as I was going through film school, we were learning about uh, screenwriting and story structure, and really, if you get like the 3 act structure down, like it's the back of your hand, which they made us do. You really can plug and play really anything, but that structure remains. And so I was giving her shit. I'm like, man, like the Lifetime movie channel, like you realize you're watching the same thing over and over. I'm like, you can substitute a new marriage, a broken marriage, or a newfound love, a broken down car, a delayed airplane, or some kind of an animal, and the resolution is always they wind up together. Like, what do they have to overcome? And she's like, "Shut up! It's my Christmas movie." And I was like, and then she just started laughing. After that, she came in like a couple of days later. She's like, "I hate that you told me that because now all it is the same thing." I'm like, but it is interesting how theater, for whatever reason, I got roped into more Shakespearean roles than anything else, and it was funny how in theater, how that structure remained, but that whole in and out thing, how crazy that could happen even when it wasn't supposed to, which is what made the live performance that much more exciting to be a part of. Because there's multiple times where there's one I was on stage and dude just completely went blank with all of his lines, and he just had the goofiest look on his face, and he is shaking so bad because he is trying not to lose it and start laughing. And I went to deliver my line, and I lost it, and I just said, "Shut up!" And the whole audience was just in tears because they knew the second that he started, like he was upset, and then for the rest of the play, even though we weren't necessarily supposed to, we would add like little just comedic ad libs to let the audience know, yeah, we fucked up. Like, here, we're laughing about it too. Here's like what you're supposed to see, but at the same time, remember. And yeah, they loved it. Like the camera, because they were taping the show that night, the camera is shaking as the people are, like we were with movies. You don't like. I love movies. Obviously, I went back to how you went back to school to do theater. I went back to school to do film, and so there's nothing wrong with the final edited version of a film, absolutely. But there's a reason why all those bonus scenes and like outtakes and all that shit is fun to watch, because that's almost that's almost like the theater aspect to film.
Exactly. Yeah. It makes total sense.
The film acting, how is that going for you?
The film acting aspect, it's been slow because of COVID, of course, and it's picking up now. So glad to say this. I just got an email saying a call back just a few minutes before I got this interview going up. That's exciting. That's great.
Great. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. All blessings in disguise, right?
For sure.
It's picking up, I suppose, and just see where it goes from there. And
yeah, man, I absolutely relate to that. I graduated film school May of 2020. So you talk about like all the aspiration, and then the world tells you, guess what? You get to wait a year.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah. The business, out of people that we've talked to on the the horror podcast and this podcast as well, the entertainment industry, I don't think since the Great Depression maybe has really been hit as hard collectively as what coronavirus did to film, music, really any kind of artistic medium really got hit hard. Theater, obviously, still feeling the effects of what not being able to gather and partake in anything inside or outside. Uh, yeah, that was crazy, man. That was crazy to be, striving to be in the entertainment industry and to have an entire industry just completely stop was wild. But here you are on the other side of it. You are in Los Angeles, right?
Of course. Los Angeles.
So I was just down there to check out the new Marvel Land at Disneyland, and at the same time, we have notification that Netflix is opening a haunted house based on the Fear Street, the R.L. Stine trilogy in downtown L.A. And it's always, over here on this side of town, this thing is happening. Over here, that thing is happening. And when we were down there, my friend is sending me Facebook posts about all these things. And we're about 4.5 hours north of Los Angeles. He goes, I understand why you want to move to Los Angeles. And I'm like, yeah, man, it is. Everybody calls like the Vegas like the adult Disneyland. I guess if that's true, then like LA and I would imagine New York too have got to be like the theater film nerd like Disneyland version of that for the adults. Like when you are not doing your theater work or getting ready for a film, do you have a particular area that you like to visit most down there, whether it be a beach or just some place that kind of like you find your zen, so to speak, at?
Well, of course, I do surf a lot. I go to Malibu, of course. I have a 9-foot board, Firewire. I go as much as I can. Early morning, I go. Bit crazy for some people. 4 a.m. That's when the schools come in, so I gotta be there. And it's just, I was at some point in my life too. I was almost a beach bum because I went so much. So gotta have some priorities, right? If I want to do this, then I gotta stop doing that.
Right.
But I still try what I can. That's where it's an opportunity that a lot of people in the United States don't really get, to hear the waves, to actually smell the ocean, and just yeah. And it's that opportunity I've always been blessed with. It's amazing lifestyle.
It's wild how lucky living in California, like how lucky we really are for that reason. Like the whole, most people don't know the what it is to be able to live that close to the ocean. Like that's a wild concept. Like that's why I don't think I will ever leave California. Is stuff that California has like that. Like, but man, 4 a.m. you're out there surfing.
That's when I leave the house, actually. So
okay. I'm like,
get there around 4:30. People, there's people out there. It's crazy. Like I get maybe 10 people, other people doing the crazy shit I do. Like, are you crazy? Come out this cold weather for for a dip in the beach.
the waves at 4:30. Like how cold is it even with like a wetsuit at that point?
It's not. I get used to it now. I don't even know what cold is. It's so conditioned for me, and it's they just come in. So I come at that time too, where it wouldn't get so packed for people coming in. I know people who surf are typically doctors and surgeons. They only go for a couple hours before they start doing their big operation. It's a very calming solace mentality. That's why they do it. It's this release of your energy from days before, and it just let the ocean have it and take it with them.
Wow.
This is a guy told me this philosophy, and I was like, wow, that does make sense. Like, I don't know why I go here a lot, but I get that sense of what you're saying. You know?
Yeah, that's deep. That's very deep.
Yeah.
Um, that's like, the same thing. People who run a lot, I know.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we've done 10Ks and stuff, and when you're out there, especially if your phone dies and you have nothing to listen to, now you're really alone with your thoughts. But it's like a center thing. It all just kind of goes away.
Exactly. That's my key to how I do it. But as with running too, or as with painting, or playing the music, or
Right.
it's everywhere. This relief, this alleviation from life itself, and it's
For sure.
adversity.
We just got the Emmy noms announced. What are you? Not doesn't have to be anything that necessarily got a lot of hype behind it, but what are you digging as far as like TV shows or streaming, Netflix, Hulu, that kind of thing? Or now that theaters are back open, hopefully they stay open. Uh, Movies, like what are you watching? What are you digging, man?
Well, I am watching this Serpent right now. Have you heard of that one? It was about this sort of this guy is taking people in, and like it's like a whole mysterious drama. I think it's the time period of the 70s, if I remember. It's pretty interesting for me right now. And I did finish Queen's Gambit. That was something I liked. I was playing chess for a little bit. This whole wow, what's so amazing about chess? If they made a whole movie series of it, I gotta know now. It's like crazy. It's a different subculture too. Just like surfing for me, it's like wow, it's crazy. And I just if there's any suggestions you want me to watch, I'd love to get them right now.
The one that our Twitter feed has been blown up about the last couple weeks has been Loki, the MCU show. Tom Hiddleston he's great in anything that he does, and he has. It's funny because he has a theater background too. But yeah, that show out of the MCU shows that Disney Plus has put together, a lot of people gave WandaVision a lot of love. I thought that one was good for what it was, but Loki, that the writing on that show especially is very deep and like destiny versus free will type deep, and I dug that one a lot. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, man. So The Mandalorian, if you got the time, watch that show. If you haven't, like that show will blow your mind.
It's like space. I love Western, but then it was mixed. Is that right? Mandalorian.
That is like everybody. George Lucas always used to say that, and people always would compare Star Wars to a Western. And the only instance that the original trilogy that I ever really got that was anytime you had like that side shot and you saw Han's blaster on his hip. I'm like, this is the only, like, I love Star Wars, but that's the only Western vibe I get is Han Solo.
Oh, yeah.
And The Mandalorian, like, I get Western more than outer space. I'm like, this is a freaking Clint Eastwood Star Wars thing. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's always feeling Mandalorian is kind of it's hard to commit,
No, we when I was in school, we had that joke because I'd get text messages from, are you watching this? Are you watching? God, you got to watch Queen's Gambit. It'll take you by surprise. And I always had the line like, I have time for one show. Like, everything else that we're doing, like I got one show in me. So the joke was in the fall. I'm like, I'm watching Mandalorian. Don't tell me to watch, the end of Game of Thrones right now. I'm watching Mandalorian. That's all I got. And so, yeah, no, I feel you, man. And I'm like dreading Stranger Things the next season.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I watched all of those too for some reason. Why did I watch all of that?
But I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm dreading it because I can't wait to see what happens. But I'm like, you're going to have to mark off 2 days because that's like one show that I can't watch like one episode. I will binge watch Stranger Things.
Exactly, right? But even in that aspect, I'm so counterintuitive. I can't even do an episode anymore. I have to watch half of it, and then I go and read a book. But what people usually do is they read a book and they get bored and they watch it.
Yeah,
I do the opposite.
But it's funny too because I'm kind of like that way with books. Like right now, I'm reading this book, The Magician, that my buddy recommended to me, and it's a TV series. And the whole time I'm reading this book, I'm like, I know I'm going to want to watch this eventually. But I have no desire to turn on my TV right now. I'm sitting here and I'm like reading the book. And then sooner than later, it's like 2 hours later and I haven't done anything because I've been reading this book. Like, so with 2021 kind of being we're calling it on our channel because we do a big thing on our channel from like early September to early November where we basically tour and visit as many places that will have us and cover their Halloween events. And so already this year, for instance, we're going to Florida, SoCal, more northern, the Bay Area, San Francisco. Like we go all over the place, like wherever we can get to, really. Last year we did Vegas because that was the only place that was open last October. Do you like haunted houses? Do you dig Halloween stuff?
I love Halloween stuff, of course, yeah.
But do you do any of the, because LA is the mecca for Halloween stuff to do.
Really? I had no idea.
Oh, man. Like you gotta give yourself at least one night off and go to either Universal Studios or Knott's Berry Farm
For Halloween?
for Halloween. What?
I've been to both, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna.
When you say the Paragon for Halloween, I thought like it seems so normal for me that this is. I think other states do this too, right? Like Halloween stuff.
Oh man, no. Yeah, I'm from being in other states. I mean, Orlando in Halloween time is also very special. But besides from Orlando and Los Angeles, like if you were gonna do splatter paint like a sky of Halloween shit to do, Orlando and LA are the two big supernovas on either side, man. Like for sure. Have you ever heard of a company called Delusion at all?
No.
Okay, so you know about Not Scary Farm, you know about Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah.
So your new night off this fall, you need to look up Delusion because it is a theater company that does, instead of like a haunted house, they do a haunted, it's almost like you're walking through a teleplay, but the play in itself is open world. So like one year, the premise of this was there was like an R.L. Stine Goosebumps style author who had gone missing, and his daughter called your company, this is the role you're given, she called your investigation company to find her dad. This led you to go investigate his house that there hasn't been any sign of life in. So you go through this house, through the storm basement, and that is when the play begins, once you get into the house. And when you got into the house, you ran into the daughter character. She gives you this info. Hey, Dad, and it was like a Goosebumps book. Dad has found a way that the monsters from his books are coming to life. And you saw this kind of portal effect thing, but then you go upstairs, and as you're traversing the house, all these scenes would play out with live actors, and they were all just waiting for you to get to them. And so they are now, I just listened to the owner on another podcast, so they are now going to be back this fall. That, I'm telling you, is a dope Halloween.
Yeah, sounds great. Delusion. I don't know. I'll find it. Sometimes.
Yeah, I want to say their theme this year is like Reaper's Revenge or something like that, but the company in itself is Delusion.
Okay. Oh, that's
Um,
exciting. I've always wanted to be part of those, but I just never really saw the output of like how to be that.
yeah, I'm telling I think they're always looking for people to like hook up with, man. Like that could be your get right there. Like
Yeah, it sounds fun. In the end, it sounds fun.
yeah, it's like the way that it plays out is like a being on a murder mystery, like one of the murder mystery dinner type things. Because at the same time you're trying to figure out, at least the year that we went, you were trying to figure out what happened to her dad. So as this scene is happening, you're looking around the room for clues too. So it is kind of like, play haunted house because there were creepy characters, and then like almost like a escape room type game to it.
Yeah.
It's dope. Do you have a in particular favorite scary movie or haunted house that you have been through at any of the events?
I didn't have. I've been to Halloween Horror Nights, of course, and well, I really love The Conjuring. That's my favorite.
Yeah,
What did you think about that?
yeah. That is a franchise that has been underrepresented in a theme park Halloween event.
Yeah, yeah. I think the last time I went to, they had Alien versus Predator, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That was what I went to, and why am I forgetting one? The Exorcist, of course.
Heavy rumor speculation Exorcist coming back this year.
No way.
Yeah.
Oof. It's gonna be exciting.
And apparently they're doing it in a soundstage too. So they're gonna like build the actual building and shit, which would be wild. Or maybe who knows? They'll throw a curveball and put us all in like Indonesia or wherever the idol was at the beginning of the movie. What is it? God, Pazuzu statue they dig up that starts the whole thing. They had it. I mean, they showed. I don't know if you remember. They kept alluding to it in that maze behind the scrims and stuff, but like we didn't get a good look at Pazuzu, so that'd be cool. Besides, doing the haunted houses and stuff, like Conjuring just came out. The last, I think this was the last Ed and Lorraine Conjuring film. They said with Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. Have you gotten to check it out yet?
No, I have not. I forgot the name already. It was something. It wasn't called Four or something. It was called
Devil Made Me Do It.
Devil Made Me Do It. Yeah. So it's the very last one.
That one was pretty dope, man.
I gotta check it out.
Those ones always felt very real to me. Like
even when I was watching the very first Conjuring in theaters, there was the theater environment's always talkative and loud. And people were like, Even with that in the milieu with me, I was still getting this sense of tremble and fear from watching it. They really did something well behind it. That's why I really like that franchise.
Heavy emotion to it. Like,
yeah.
Their performances, like they like make me believe. That's how you know they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Like they make you really buy into that. That they're in that moment. Like. When I was a kid, my dad showed me Michael Myers. Scared the hell out of me, ruined me forever. You mentioned Exorcist. Is Exorcist your movie, or do you have another one that would you say like really turned you into a horror fan?
I was on and off in a lot of genres, but I've been on horror movies since like the last 10 years. It's something interesting for me to watch. My very last movie that I watched as a horror was Midsummer. Have you heard of that one?
Oh yeah.
That was that one was somewhere. And before that, I watched the same director.
Hereditary.
Hereditary.
What'd you think of Hereditary?
Oh, very, very. I loved it too. I love Anya Taylor-Joy was in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I watched Queen's Gambit. Oh yeah, now I remember why. It was in that movie. Like, oh, she's a very gorgeous actor. I love her. I kind of watch the series now, and it was just something so bizarre about a horror movie that it was never you never get exposed of it to the day to day because we've perfected human survival and we have to have the simulated danger now of like roller coasters and theme parks and
Right.
horror movies.
Sure.
And I just want that, you know. And I love horror.
That's crazy that you say that you put it into that perspective because that's like you're seeing that transition more and more. Like the ante keeps getting raised more and more. So that's interesting. That it's almost like humanity in it, like subconsciously is creating like that next level of entertainment because we're demanding the next level.
Yeah.
We went to a theater right there on Sunset Boulevard, right next to Chinese Grossman. First time I'd ever been to a 4D theater. That's another why you should live in Los Angeles because I don't know if these things exist outside of Los Angeles, but we went and saw Solo, the Star Wars spinoff, and inside the theater it rained. It filled with smoke. There were lasers. There were smells, and the chairs moved like Star Tours. It was freaking wild. Like that. I hope our bar for humanity pushing the level of like haunted houses and roller coasters and shit. Like, let's raise the movie theater bar up to the point where we can have every theater be like that movie theater.
Exactly.
Because that, my buddy went to it a couple of days ago and shot like a 30-second video of himself in that theater to Fast 9. And he was like, I just filmed it. I'm not trying to pirate the movie. I'm just filming this so everybody can appreciate this theater. And he points his phone at the screen, and his phone is like this because his chair is like in the street race or whatever the hell they're at. It wouldn't have done him any good to pirate the movie because you could never actually see the screen. He's moving so damn much. But the fact that it's like some street race or anything, and your chair's mimicking the cars and stuff, that's super rad.
It's just more of like, well, how can we be more immersed to reality now? That's what I try to find myself doing. And how can I have so many lives but still live one? You know, that's why I became an actor. You know, it's not like how we had to do with our ancestors with the hunt for things like animals and bears and have that. That was our sort of entertainment, but also survival. It's a whole deep thing about me that I just personally have opinions about.
That quote, I'm going to quote you on right there because that quote is super deep. Actors, how can we get to live so many lives but only have one? That is super dope. That is like that is
Big,
yeah, that's got to be. I'm gonna like tweet Kevin Smith that shit. Like, hey, my guest just said this, and I know you're gonna get high and you're gonna talk about this on your show, Kevin. So give credit to where credit's due. That is a great like, because that's really the only profession that you could actually say that about, like an actor and actress. Because even a director, you're still the same guy behind the camera. You may try a different style, but you're not becoming a whole nother person, hopefully. And so, yeah, that's. I'm telling you, man. Joshua is freaking on fire.
too kind.
So, where can people, man, keep track of you, see your progress, check you out, and even say hello.
So I do have my Instagram. It's j.c.azali. That's something you could check out. I do modeling on the side, so it's more geared towards that. Mainly trying to be an actor, of course. Um, my IMDb also, imdb.me/ my full name, Josh Christian Azali. It's not really anything up there, but have my contact info and publicist and manager agency. And I'm going to be having a site soon. It's not live yet, but it's my full name, joshuachristianazali.com.
Right
And
on.
yeah. I have a
So
Facebook and everything like that, yeah.
no, right on, man. And we know that there will soon be credits in that IMBT. Who knows, man? Maybe down the line, one of them will be our movie. We get you part. Come kill some people and or be killed. Maybe both. Um, but man, I look forward to seeing everything in your future, and we definitely got to get you on maybe after October, and so we can do like a Halloween recap, talk about all the haunted shit that we each did or something.
Oh my God, it'll be exciting. Oh, I gotta stop finding it. I was so relaxed of being in COVID, just doing nothing. Like, ugh. And now I'm trying to get out of that. Oh, I gotta do something for October.
For sure, for sure.
That's
Well, right on, man. You take care, and we will get you back on.
Thank you so much, Jimmy, for having me.